You don't need another YouTube video. You don't need to read another book. You don't need to listen to another podcast. What you're lacking in is not information. What you're lacking in is integration. Sometimes being the guy with all of the information is actually doing more harm than it is good for you. Learning all the information possible about a specific subject is another way to bypass the trials and the tribulations that come with taking action. So you might not know it, but you're actually using your ability to seek information as a way to protect yourself from potential rejection. This is also something that I have struggled with. You think that you need more information, you actually need more feedback. Sometimes your intelligence and your ability to be curious and seek out new information, as big of a blessing as that is, it also can be a double-edged sword and prevent you from getting out there and getting the results that you want to achieve because you're not moving forward. Because when you're constantly absorbing information, you're overthinking and you're staying in your head, which causes more inaction. And the more inaction that you take over a period of time, you begin to form beliefs about yourself and start to doubt your own abilities. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not attractive. These narratives start to take control because you start to believe in the fact that you're not producing. Out of all the successful men that you see throughout your life, whether you know them personally or maybe you've seen them online, you might get frustrated at that because here's guys with maybe less intelligence than you, maybe less ability than you, but they're living the results that you want to live. Maybe they're getting the girlfriend, they're starting the business, they're improving their finances, they're moving to another location, out of their hometown. They're improving their physique, not because they're better than you, not because they know more than you, not even necessarily because they deserve it more than you. It's because they're just doing more than you, period. They're moving forward with action, and you're not. Because there's a deep fear there around not being good enough or feeling like it's not going to work out for you. That is actually creating the hell that you're trying to avoid. By taking in so much information, by watching the next YouTube video, by reading the next book, by learning and learning and learning, you're actually preventing the ability to get real world experience. I said this before in my first retreat that I ran. I said this to all of my clients, all the students that went. I said, guys, there's a difference between knowing and understanding. You could easily know something because you heard about it, you learned about this information in a book or a video. Yeah, I know what it's like when a girl breaks your heart. It's a tough time. Guys experiencing a lot of guilt, maybe a lot of shame behind it. You might know that consciously, but until you actually go through it with experience, you will not understand what that truly means. Understanding is actually getting information through real-world experience, feedback, executing on something. It's like the old saying, knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. And this was one of my hang-ups for many, many years. I would learn about, how do you film a certain video this way? How do you become a coach? What are the right questions to ask? How do you start a business? How do you create an offer? And in my experience, I had to learn everything the hard way. Because you could sit there all day watching an hour-long YouTube video, step-by-step instructions of how to do X, Y, and Z. But until you actually go out and apply yourself, you make a mistake, you learn from the mistake, you get feedback, you're not going to really learn it. You're not going to really get the result either, because the result only comes from action. It's also the key to getting confidence, because if you're not feeling confident in yourself in whatever arena that you're trying to feel confident in, you don't just become confident. You have to earn confidence. Confidence is created. It comes by being courageous first, by taking action in an area where maybe you don't feel as competent yet, but you're learning and you'll get there. You just have to go. Be willing to look foolish. Be willing to make a mistake. I think if you overcame that and you got over your fear of judgment of what other people would think, that would actually give you so many results in life. I have this client who his big hang up is he continually feels like he's making the wrong choice. But I've had to confront him on that once because I said, dude, you're not making the wrong choice. You're not making any choice. And in a sense, not choosing is still choosing because he's so much on the fence of, well, I don't want to seem too much. I don't want to be too aggressive. I don't want to seem like a failure and I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, well, the truth is you don't know what you're doing. And you have to allow yourself that space, that growth period. Like, you think when I started this channel, I knew exactly what I was doing with camera, setup, lighting, and all this stuff? No. I had to learn this stuff. And even if you look at some of my old videos, they still exist on this channel. The lighting's crap. I didn't know how to speak properly. I wasn't speaking with confidence. I didn't know how to hold, the engagement for the viewer because I was very unclear of the topics and everything like that. I'm just kind of regurgitating things that I've heard before. But over the years, you build a skill set. You build competence. You build confidence in what you're doing because you have enough repetitions to prove it. It's like Alex Hormozy famously said this, and I generally agree with his definition about confidence. Like, confidence isn't something you just think that you have. It is the undeniable proof that you are the man that you say that you are. So if you continually live in a reality where you're viewing information and taking in topics and ideas, but you never apply those ideas, then you're going to stay in the same position you are now. It sounds pretty straightforward and common sense, but most guys still make this issue. And if you're watching this video, you're obviously one of them. If you want specific help with this, because I know every guy has different triggers, different challenges, and specific things that they're going through, apply for a time down below to work with me. We'll just have a conversation to see what your specific situation is and what it is that you need to do to change this so you stop self-sabotaging and staying in your head and you can actually get on the right path. So if you want to do that, click the link down below. There will be a time slot available that will work for the both of us. But if not, you just want free value from the content, that's totally fine too. There's a term out there that people use these days called retardmaxxing. And in the beginning, I never knew what this meant. Like, I was always kind of like, what are they talking about here? What does that mean? To be stupid, like just to do things without thinking about it? And what they really mean when they say that is to just do whatever you need to do. Just take action. Don't think about it. Don't overanalyze. Don't process. Don't gather new information. Just go. Just do things. And it's the same thing I've noticed in my life when I look at people that I look up to or further along in life than me. I know that I'm smarter than them. I know that I have more maybe ability than them in certain areas. I know that I have done something for longer than most people, but why do they have the result and I don't? Well, it's because they just simply took more action than I have. Because deep down, if you're being honest, and I was being honest, I was afraid of looking stupid. Or I was afraid that if I showed up in a way if I showed up this way, that I'd be exposed for not being good enough. I didn't have it all figured out. That's really the thing that is confronting you. The reason that you're not moving forward, it's not because you don't know what to do, it's because you don't trust yourself. It's as simple as that. If you trusted yourself more, you would take the action and you'd be okay with making a mistake because you knew deep down that if you kept going, eventually you'd get it right. Or you'd be redirected towards the direction that you're supposed to be going. And this is when it comes down to really the work that I do the most with clients is understanding and forging your identity. Because most men, including you probably who's watching this, have defined themselves so much from your own limitations that you've forgotten who you truly are. You don't define yourself from your potential anymore because you're so used to the alternative. You're so used to things not working out. You're used to not getting the girl or she rejects you. You're used to having information and having an idea about a business but never fully acting on it. You're used to people kind of walking all over you. And eventually you have to get to the point where you just get sick of it. You get to the point where you're sick of having the same results happen again and again. And that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. You do not want to drive yourself insane, bro. I've done that for years. I was on the hamster wheel for years. I had to check my ego for a second, say, you know what? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Or maybe I just need to adjust and pivot, try something new. Because the more you do it, the more you get set in your ways, You build a belief system around how you're not producing the way you want to be. And you start to identify with that. And you start to really kind of find yourself in a negative spiral of inaction, doubt, insecurity, fear. And that's just not a place where you want to be. I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. Overthinking for you has become a safe place. It's a way for you to protect yourself from the uncomfortable truth that you don't like where you're at. And the sooner that you can come to terms with that, the faster you can be radically honest with your situation. And if that means getting angry, getting frustrated, getting emotional, let it happen. Too many men are afraid to let that stuff out because they don't know what they're going to see on the other side. You don't have to identify with your circumstances. Your character is forged through your circumstances, not the other way around. So if you let your circumstances constantly define you, then you're constantly going to be a victim to what happens to you. Instead, my solution to these things is to be a man who's in control of his destiny. You have a God-given identity. You have a mission, a purpose, a calling. You're just not listening to it because you're too distracted by this other stuff that's going on. You're focused on the fact that you're in your head too much every day. You're focused on the fact that you have all this information and all these ideas, but nowhere to actually create something with it. You don't need more information. You need execution. You need integration of the things that you know so that eventually it becomes part of who you are. Think of an artist, right? Think of like one of your favorite artists. I don't care what genre it is. If they put out a song and it doesn't do well, do you think that artist now goes and does something else because they just realize that I guess it's not for me? I'm not a musician. No, they don't care. I mean, at least someone who eventually succeeds in that doesn't care because they realize that the reception they get from one song or one album that they put out doesn't reflect who they see themselves as. Because they see themselves as someone who's an artist, who speaks their truth, who expresses themselves fully, honestly, and unattached to the reactions. When you come from that place, it's a matter of time until an artist like that eventually pops off. Look at Russ, one of my favorite artists. He's a prime example of that. He was making music for upwards of like 10 years or something until he had an album or a single, I believe, that popped off and went viral. And now he's one of the biggest independent artists in the entire game right now. But for 10 years, he had to keep his perspective strong. His identity was that I am a huge artist. I am an independent artist that is going to take over the rap game. No one's going to mess with me. My stuff is fire. I know what I'm doing here. And eventually that frame wins. You know, you learn this in sales. It's like whoever has the strongest frame is going to win. That's kind of how it happens a lot in interactions. Everything's a perspective. The person with the strongest perspective on a sales call is going to win. Whether you end up getting a sale or not, it depends on your perspective, on your frame. Am I going to let them overtake mine? Am I going to believe their bullshit excuses? Am I going to let them sink to their limitations? Or am I going to empower them because I see what's best for them? I see the future and what they could be. I want you to apply that to your own life. What are you going to choose every day? Are you going to choose the person that you think you are by being just in your head and having all these ideas and never executing? Or are you going to start betting on yourself and taking more risk? Because until you trust yourself, nothing's going to pan out the way you want it to. So you might as well take a chance now. And I know it's ironic because this is just another video that you're watching. This is more information for you. But my challenge is after this video, I don't want you watching another one until you begin to take action. And then you come back as you're getting results, as you're getting feedback to tweak your current process. But until you have a process, I don't care if you never watch another one of my videos or anybody's videos. Get your ass moving. That is the only thing that's going to get you a result. Integration, not more information. You have that already. You're smart enough. Just go do more. Think less. You can analyze after the thing is done. Again, I've done this 1,000 times in my life. It is something, one of my biggest struggles was actually always overthinking, over-planning, and taking more information. But until I realized that it was actually my issue, that I was afraid of succeeding and afraid of actually going out there and putting myself on display for potential failure or rejection, that's when things started to change. I started to drop the ego and make some things happen. And I'm still learning that now. Again, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm a lot further than where I was. So if you need help with that and this is resonating with you, again, there is a link down below to book a call with me. We'll have a mutual time slot available where we can chat. And this is not a sales call, it's just a clarity call to discover what exactly you got going on, what's your challenge, what's your specific challenge, what's your issue, and how we can actually help you get out of your head and stop sabotaging your progress. And if you're a good fit, we'll work together and I'll show you what that looks like. If not, totally fine. At least you still get free value from this content because I'm going to talk about all of this stuff as long as I can go. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if any of this is making sense. If you have a question around this, if you're relating to this challenge and this issue, let me know. And if you want to personally ask me a question, maybe you don't want to leave a public comment, but you have a specific thing you're struggling with and you want to ask me some advice, well, ask me a DM actually on my Instagram. I'm active on there every single day. That link will be down below as well. And subscribe to the channel if you're new here. This is one of my first videos that you've seen. I talk about all these things and more around the men's self-improvement, mental health space, and men just becoming better men. If that's something you resonate with, consider subscribing, and I would greatly appreciate that. But that's pretty much it, man. I hope this video makes sense. Again, the information is not the problem. The next thing is always going to keep you in this cycle of inaction and doubt, and that just creates another downward spiral of you not getting the results that you want. So if you finally want to make 2026 a year where you begin to achieve things, not just stay stagnant and learn, but get real world experience and feedback from it, start moving in that direction. You know what to do. That's never been the issue. The issue is you're too afraid to actually move. So create a game plan of what you want, write it down, and get to work. And if you need support with that, you know where to find me. I'm always here to help. So hopefully this is a wake-up call. And again, I don't want you to keep watching videos if it's getting you nowhere, because truthfully, YouTube is not going to fix your life. It's not going to pay your bills. It's not going to find you a wife. You know, all the information in the world is not going to get you the result. You are. And it always comes down to you, man. And saying that to myself as well, because sometimes even I need reminders of it. In the meantime, hope you have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.